it is TeenTober here at the West Lincoln Public Library, and I am doing another video review for you on a book that I absolutely adore, and we actually featured as our teen book club book of the month a few months back. It was very much enjoyed by our members, and I thought it would be fun to do a spooky thriller murder mystery detective kind of a novel for you guys. So without further ado, this book review for the month of October will be about a series that I adore. It's called A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. It's by Holly Jackson. You might be familiar with her work. She's written several books that we have here at the West Lincoln Public Library. And this one in particular, I actually hesitated to start for a while. It was something that I considered to be a little too good to be true. It was all over Book Talk and all over online, and everyone said it was easily a 5-star read, which I thought it might be a little overhyped, but I haven't read a good mystery detective one in a little while, so I figured I would give it a shot. And lo and behold, it was one of my 5-star reads for last year. I absolutely fell in love with the characters that Holly Jackson wrote. I loved the mystery detective angle. It was not as cliche as I feared it was going to be, or like very Nancy Drew Scooby-Doo kind of vibes. It was at times actually very hard-hitting and very emotional, and I really enjoyed it. And it was also not so unrealistic of the character being a high schooler solving this mystery presented to her. She did not have any kind of Sherlock Holmes guessing abilities or anything like that. She was just a very dedicated, very smart teenager who wanted to do her best with the skills that she had to solve a crime that had happened in her own town that affected her as well. And I was definitely pleasantly surprised, and I'm very thrilled. There are 2 more books in this series that I will be reading as well. I will not spoil anything major, obviously, given the context and nature of this book, but I highly suggest you all check out a copy that we have here at the West Lincoln Library for yourselves. Without further ado, I will get more into the nitty-gritty. Essentially, the main character follows the main girl named Pippa. Pippa is working on her senior capstone high school project before she graduates, and she decides she's going to look into a very serious crime that happened in her hometown 5 years prior, in which a boy named Sal Singh murdered his then girlfriend, popular, kind, beautiful Andy Bell, who was also a senior, and then committed suicide out in the local woods. And it was a crime that really shadowed the history of their town for many years to come, and it was pretty open and shut. The police very quickly determined that Sal was guilty, and the town buried it. They moved on. They considered him guilty, and no one else really looked into it until Pippa came along, because she was familiar with him as a child, and he'd always been kind to her. And she really just couldn't get over the idea that he'd committed such a heinous crime. So she decides that that's going to be the focus of her high school project, is not necessarily solving this crime, but at least looking into how the media affected the views of it and how the evidence could have been presented differently. And as she begins to go along, she decides that she's going to need, obviously, help with this. And the first thing she does is contact Sal's brother, Robbie, who is her age, and explains her situation, says what she's going to do, says what she hopes to prove, and gains his help with the situation. And the 2 of them begin investigating all kinds of leads, connections in school between Andy and Sal, connections to employers and other townspeople, even their own families, and the families of Pippa and her friends, and how they all tie into what quickly becomes a very messy, very emotionally driven case. And it gets to the point where Pippa realizes she actually could not only be proving Sal's innocence, but she might actually be able to solve the entire crime and figure out what's going on. But as she gets closer and closer to the truth, she begins to realize there are people in this town that have secrets that want to be kept. And she begins to receive threats and realizes that people close to her may have more to lose about this case than she thinks. And she has to determine what she's really risking by trying to solve this. And in doing so, The book also takes time to reflect on who Pippa is as a person as she matures over the process of the many months of solving this case and working on it. Like, she begins to question, why did she even choose this sort of subject matter for her capstone project in the first place? Does she know who she is without being good in school? Did she basically decide to do something as heavy hitting as this project because she doesn't know how to face what's going to happen when she leaves high school? And it's actually a very interesting dynamic that I really appreciated reading about, because for the age generation, for the audience aimed at this book reading it, it's a realistic fear for someone to have. I mean, suddenly you're leaving high school and maybe you don't know what you want to do with the rest of your life. Pippa's case is a little extreme. She takes it a little bit far, but I really liked reading that kind of fear that she had, because it, again, made her feel very dynamic, very complex. Ravi, Sal's brother, was also a very interesting character, and he proved an absolutely invaluable aid to Pippa as she works on the case. Pip's family is also very supportive of her working on this. And they're also an incredibly stable and very beneficial family dynamic as well, which I really liked reading about. Their relationships and their support between them are all very healthy. I really liked the parents' dynamic as well. Ultimately, the thing that absolutely pulls you into this book and refuses to let you go is the fact that you really can't predict what's going on. And when I mean that, I don't mean in a sense that the book loses you. You actually follow along very well. The pacing of this book is perfect, and it does not rush you through the facts or the people that you meet. It does not want you to feel that anyone you talk to, any piece of evidence or thing you come across is irrelevant. Pretty much everything introduced has some kind of meaning or significance, and you really want to pay attention to those details. And it's very interesting to see how everything wraps up in the end. I definitely didn't expect it, and it really makes me wonder what the rest of the series has to offer. I will recommend that if you enjoy the series, there's another series out called Truly Devious. Similar kind of genre, solving an old cold case. I think you would love that as well. I recently read that too last season, and another book club that we've previously done. It was fantastic too. All in all, I would easily give this book 5 stars. I am very much looking forward to reading the next 2. I do not know where they're going to follow along, because this book ends in a very satisfying way, but it definitely leaves questions unanswered, and I'm really hoping those get addressed in the following works. I really recommend this to anyone that needs a good whodunit, because any person, just because this is necessarily aimed at YA does not mean adults will not love this book as well. The mystery is so satisfying and complex that any reader of any age will enjoy this book, and I'm sure the same will be going for the other 2 as well. So highly recommend Holly Jackson's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder if you would like to stay up at night reading something that will sit in your brain and leave you asking questions. The characters are absolutely compelling and dynamic. The mystery is unexpected and dangerous and thrilling, and overall, you really want more out of this series in the best possible way. So I hope you guys swing by the library to come pick up a copy very soon. I really hope you enjoy reading the series, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!